Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Back on the topic of the NFL today. Jay and I are going to be talking Cleveland Browns and looking at whether or not they can have a top 5 offense in the 2021 season. They've got the tools at quarterback in the backfield, but there's a lot of high-powered offenses in the league. So today we're looking at whether or not the Browns can be in the top 5 offenses in 2021. Before we get into the video, we're looking at Jadeveon Clowney, obviously still a free agent, just on the Titans released him, right? Yep. Last with the Titans. Obviously struggles staying healthy, but he's a good player. Do you guys think the Cleveland Browns will sign him? We've kind of narrowed it down as the Browns and maybe the Chargers and a handful of teams left that would want him. So we're going to be looking at the question today is, of course, comment below whether or not you think the Browns will sign Jadeveon Clowney. But, Jay, obviously, like I said, the Browns got the tools. Can they be a top 5 offense in 2021?
I definitely think they will be. I've told Carson, and we kind of disagree, but I think they could fight for number 1. And I understand that's a bold take, but they just have the pieces to do it. Number 1 backfield, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's probably a top 5 running back alone, but then when you add probably a top 15 running back with him, but by his side, and Kareem Hunt, who's a dual threat, could catch the ball really well. Definitely the best backfield in the NFL. Highest paid offensive line. That usually correlates to the best offensive line. You can pick and choose no matter what. Their top 3. And the receiving core, quarterback, they have it all. Receiving core, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, and then Baker Mayfield. But can they pass these powerhouses? The Chiefs, the Bills, Rams, Packers, Bucks, Ravens in their own division. Complete different offense, but they're electric. Even the Chargers are emerging. There's good 6 or 7 top offenses out there that are all fighting for the top 5 spot. I think the Browns in there. For me, I definitely think they're top 5. It's more of a question where amongst the 5 they are at in that rankings, but they definitely make the cut somewhere along it for me.
Yeah, the top 5 is certainly on the table. You think number 1, I don't think they're quite that good, but you mentioned the O-line. The O-line is one of the biggest things about this offense outside of the fact that the backfield is top in the league. Their O-line just does such a good job of allowing Baker Mayfield to play Cleveland Browns style football. We've said this in several videos before about the Browns, that the way the offense works the best is when Baker Mayfield is able to make smart throws, efficient throws, and rely on his backfield, which that's all built upon the foundation that the offensive line provides for him in pass protection and in run protection. They're very good. And then, like I said, I just said it, but the backfield is top in the league. That's kind of hard to debate at all. Receiving-wise, Austin Hooper at tight end. I mean, Jarvis Landry. He's pretty good. They re-signed Rashard Higgins. I think I'm missing one that they've got.
David Njoku, OBJ.
Oh, yes, there you go. OBJ hopefully makes a good return. David Njoku is one of the better tight ends in the league. So they got the weapons for Baker Mayfield. So all of this is certainly on the table for a top 5 offense, and they're also in the conversation. Jay did a video, a top 10 defense, so they've got a well-rounded team. I like it a lot, but I mean, some other teams that are in the top 5, I mean, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks reuniting, and Chiefs are always, when you got the number 1 quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, same with Packers, Aaron Rodgers, top 2 quarterbacks,
Yep.
And like I said, the Bucks reuniting, and of course, a wild card play is Antonio Brown. If he goes to any of these offenses, that really takes them to the next level. But
you mentioned OBJ, just the fact that he could be traded or he could make a healthy return with the Browns is also huge.
Yeah, really, like I said, number 1 is possible. If I had to bet money, I don't think they're number 1 offense. But I told Carson, if OBJ, if he comes back and is what he used to be at the Giants, a top 5 receiver in the league, this is an electric team that can make the jump. Just on paper, the matchups, quarterback, Baker Mayfield is probably not going to win the offensive matchups between Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford. But outside of that, the Browns do win in a lot of places. They already win in the backfield. They already win in the offensive line and the receiving core. That's all going to depend on OBJ, because really outside of him, there is no star X factor. We like Jarvis Landry, but he's not a top stud number 1 receiver in this league. OBJ is the biggest factor of where amongst these top 5 they're going to be. But if he's a star he used to be, I do think they're top 3.
Yeah, among our top offenses, we kind of agreed on. We got the Bucks, the Packers, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Bills, and then of course the Browns in there. Looking at other teams and where they can really be placed in the top 5. I mean, the Bills and Packers have great quarterbacks, great passing attacks, but I like Aaron Jones in Green Bay, but he's top middle of the league. He's not great. The Bills kind of have an absence in the running attack period. They just don't have a solid franchise running back whatsoever. So I think you can certainly make an argument of the Browns jumping those 2 teams, even though the fact that I would take them throwing the ball over the Browns all day, offensive-wise as a whole, I got to take the Browns over both those teams. The Chiefs is tough to put the Browns over for me, so that's why I keep them out of the number 1 spot, because the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, they have a little bit of issues on the O-line. They last year in the Super Bowl. They let go a few O-linemen. and Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, so they might have issues there. But the Rams are the same way. Question mark with Matthew Stafford, but they have certainly the tools to be great. And then the Bucs, obviously coming off, we think they're the best team in the league, or will be in 2021. But arguably, one of the biggest reasons they won the Super Bowl was Levante David, Devin White, JPP, all the defensive side of the ball. They didn't totally trounce teams on offense until they got to the Chiefs, ironically. So you could really make an argument to put the Browns offense over the Bucs, over the Bills, and over the Packers, and have them sitting in the 3 spot. That's what I got.
Yeah, like I said, the Bucs, if they get back AB, I do think they're over the Browns. But until that happens, I do think it is neck and neck. Backfield, Browns win. Offensive line, Browns win. Bucs are getting up there. Donovan Smith, they re-signed. Tristan Wirfs was turning out to be best rookie offensive lineman. So I guess that is debatable. But quarterback, Brady wins in their receiving core. That's a big question mark. Mike Evans, OBJ, Chris Godwin, Jarvis Landry, Robert Gronkowski, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Cameron Brate. It gets confusing, and it's really just going to come down to what fan you are.
Yeah.
There's going to be biasness. It's going to need a third-party vote to, decide who is a better receiving core. But they're so neck and neck. For the Browns to be in the conversation of the Chiefs, of the Packers, of the Bucs, it kind of already shows they're up there in the rankings of top 5.
Now, this is certainly upon the contingency that Baker Mayfield is what we expect him to be, that he plays. And I said it already, or in this video, I said it 100 times. He doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer this year. He has to keep the turnovers to a minimum. He did that last year. He had, like I said, he had a stretch in the end of the season where his touchdowns took off and his interceptions really, I think it was 20-1 was the ratio of touchdowns, interceptions in the last half of the year. If he can keep that up, throughout this entire season, the Browns should be golden because the rest of their offense, the O-line in the backfield and the receivers should take over.
Yeah, and being under Kevin Stefanski, a well-coached coach, he won, Coach of the Year. Baker Mayfield's going to finally have some consistency under the head coach. Freddie Kitchens wasn't a guy. Now Kevin Stefanski is. I think the consistency in having this team under the belt and getting back a healthy OBJ, I just don't see an argument as to why they're not top 5. Yeah, like I said, the Ravens are electric, and they can be a problem, and the Chargers will get Herbert, but still, with the draft to play out, that will change things. But right now, on paper, Browns are there.
Yeah, and I think that if the Browns' offense is as good as we expect them to be, that's just going to make them obviously a lot better of a team because you have a good offense. It's going to help with their defense, who we already think very highly of. You get John Johnson, you get Troy Hill, you got Denzel Ward, you got Myles Garrett. So keep them off the field by having a good offense, then their defense is going to even step up even more. So I just think this Browns team has a super bright future, especially in 2021.
Yeah, and even though we're not hating on Baker, but we definitely don't think he's on par with Rodgers and Mahomes and Brady, which he's not, but we do have him being in the top 10.
Yeah.
And if he could creep up better in that top 10, obviously there's some guys you're not going to touch, like Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, but if you get in that Matt Stafford conversation above Justin Herbert, those type of guys where he's the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the league, like I said, they're just on paper, there is no argument why they should not be top 5.
Yeah, and I continue to say that Baker Mayfield, the success for the Browns relies on him just being efficient and keeping the turnovers to a minimum. I say that's the play style that should work for them because I do think that when you put everything on Baker's back, that's when the turnovers happen. I don't think he's a Rodgers caliber, Josh Allen caliber, Patrick Mahomes caliber guy yet. So by keeping the entire game out of his hands, you avoid the turnovers. So he's not at that caliber yet, but we did a top 10 video and we both had him at 9 or 10 or whatever we had him.
Yeah, I definitely think top 5 for sure. How far in the top 5 is strictly due to Baker. Even if he's the same guy, I have him top 5, but the other biggest factor, OBJ.
Yep, group consensus for us. The Browns should and will have a top 5 offense in 2021. But as far as the question today, Jadeveon Clowney, one of the top free agents still available on the defensive side of the ball. Who you got him going to? Do you have him going to the Browns?
Yeah, I do have him coming to Cleveland. I think if they sign him as pass rusher, they don't have to address it in the first rounder. And their newly signed defensive tackle Malik Jackson already tweeted out to Jadeveon Clowney, "You're welcome to come." Not going to say that'll determine it, but it just shows they've already talked, they've already met up, and he's welcome. I got the Browns signing him.
Yeah, you make good points, but I got a hunch that he's going to LA to play with the Chargers. Not a lot of evidence as to why. I mean, they're obviously looking to replace Melvin Ingram or re-sign him if they do. So I think Jadeveon Clowney would fit in LA. But him going to the Browns is certainly realistic. But that's all for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. 2-Minute Warning.